In the language of Thich Nhat Hanh, he says, I would like to offer this short exercise to you. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment. Breathing in, I calm my body. This is like drinking a glass of cool water. You feel the freshness permeate your body. When I breathe in and recite this line, I actually experience my body. I actually experience my breathing, calming my body and my mind. In Buddhist meditation, body and mind become one. Breathing out, I smile. One smile can relax hundreds of muscles in your face and make you master of yourself. Whenever you see an image of the Buddha, he is always smiling. When you smile with mindfulness, you realize the wonder of a smile. Dwelling in the present moment. We recite this line as we breathe in again, and we don't think of anything else. We know exactly where we are. And we can even shorten the verse to 6 words. As we breathe in, we say to ourselves, calming. And as we breathe out, we say, smiling. As we breathe in again, we say, present moment. And as we breathe out, wonderful moment. Practicing this way can help us touch peace right here. We don't have to wait for any other conditions to be present. It's Sunday. It's our maiden voyage, so to speak, at Pepperwood. So a bunch of us will be there, and for those who aren't there, you're there anyway, and we'll let you know on Monday. But so if people can help, like I said, I'm going to leave to go see Howard. If people can help Gretchen and Debbie and Kristen, and just to help people pack stuff up in the car. Feels like a kind of, I was thinking Thich Nhat Hanh was there was a fearlessness to Thich Nhat Hanh. He kind of, it's like he was really smart. I mean, he really, when you study Thich Nhat Hanh, you realize it's like Suzuki Roshi, how deeply immersed they were in the Buddhist teachings and the sutras. But he was kind of fearless the way he jumped off into uh, skillful means of how to make it accessible to the West. And, and, uh, and I would imagine that the religious establishment, I mean, I don't think I have to imagine, the religious establishment in Vietnam, I don't think was very happy with him. And and what I want to do today is he also leapt off into the interface between Buddhism and Christianity. And it's kind of fun to read some of the commentary about it because he was really willing to just not follow the orthodoxy of the Christian law, the way it's framed. His thing was how to make it alive. And so anyway, just back to Pepperwood for a minute. I kind of feel like there's a fearlessness, not like Thich Nhat Hanh, but a certain kind of fearlessness of jumping off into this alive, ancestral sacred land with Ben as a co-guide who Native American and Native American who established the department at the Santa Rosa JC, who's really kind of a wonderful and eccentric. Ben's really another really amazing human being. And we'll just see what happens because I feel like there's something that wants to happen here and we're going to find out by showing up. So I'm looking forward to Sunday. Final verse of the 50 verses, the Yogacara, which is what leapt us into. Oh, where we're going to leap after this is we're going to leap into bodhisattvas and the study of bodhisattvas and the archetypes. And our primary book is going to be Faces of Compassion, Tig and Dan Layton, but we're not going to be limited here at all because we're going to do the traditional archetypes, but we're also going to use Mayumi Oda, who's kind of leapt off the charts again, another iconoclast who just made all of the bodhisattva archetypes feminine. And we're going to look at what do those archetypes look like? How do they manifest in present time? So I think it will be fun and informative. Okay, now, right straight ahead. Final verse of the 50 verses, Yogacara. When we realize that afflictions are no other than enlightenment, we can ride the waves of birth and death in peace. Traveling in the boat of compassion on the ocean of delusion, smiling the smile of non-fear. So Thich Nhat Hanh wrote a book. It's called Living Buddha, Living Christ. And I've picked out passages from it, and I'll pick and choose as we go. And uh, seems to me, in a certain way, in this country, part of what's happening in other parts of the world, but what's happening here is this kind of a religious war. I mean, there's a religious war within Christianity and within what's the truth and what are we all doing here? So Brother David, David Steinhill Ross wrote the foreword to this. Brother David, a Benedictine monk, practiced at Zen Center when I was there. And in fact, during that time, there were a fair number of Catholic monastics who came, and nuns, and it was really fun because this is my understanding. I don't know how true it is that a lot of people felt like the Catholic Church had lost its contemplative tradition. It's not like it wasn't there, but people wanted to remember it. So they came to Zen Center to sit down and remember it. And then, of course, they went back to they never left their traditions, but somehow it commingled. And Brother David he's in his way into his 90s. In his foreword to the book, he says, Thich insists reality is free from all notions. It is our duty to transcend words and concepts to be able to encounter reality. It is our duty to transcend words and concepts to be able to encounter reality. This is the challenge Thich Nhat Hanh offers us. Come alive, truly alive. Is that nice? Okay, so now these are some of his teachings as he kind of, I think, shook the tree of all of it and to help it come alive. Starts out, be still and know. And then he says, religious life is life. To me, religious life is life. I do not see any reason to spend one's whole life tasting just one kind of fruit. Great. We human beings can be nourished by the best values of many traditions. The second precept of the order of interbeing, we went over those, I can't remember on Tuesday or Thursday, is about letting go of views. Do not think the knowledge you presently possess is changeless, absolute truth. Avoid being narrow-minded and bound to present views. Learn and practice non-attachment from views in order to be open to receive others' viewpoints. To me, this is the most essential practice of peace. I don't know about you, but I've got some pretty strongly held beliefs. I think we're all dealing in lots of beliefs in this time. So what if you follow it all the way through? What's there that doesn't set us up against somebody else? It frees us. Do not think the knowledge you presently possess is changeless, absolute truth. Another heading, dialogue, the key to peace. During the war in Vietnam, I saw communists and anti-communists killing and destroying each other because each side believed they had a monopoly on the truth. Many Christians and Buddhists in our country were fighting each other instead of working together to stop the war. It was only after, through friendships with Christian men and women who truly embodied the spirit of understanding and compassion of Jesus, that I have been able to touch the depths of Christianity. The moment I met Martin Luther King Jr., I knew I was in the presence of a holy person. Not just his good work, but his very being was a source of great inspiration for me. Says about real communication. On the altar in my hermitage in France are images of Buddha and Jesus. I think it's great that we're in this chapel in this church and that we have the cross. We have, and then before that we met in the synagogue. We met at Ner Shalom, and I loved all the iconography and the images there. Every time I light incense, I touch both of them as my spiritual ancestors. I can do this because of contact with these real Christians. When you touch someone who authentically represents a tradition, you do not touch his or her tradition. You also touch your own. This quality is essential for dialogue. When participants are willing to learn from each other, dialogue takes place just by their being together. Just by their being together. I mean, to me, that's dialogue is words, but it's also just by mingling breath and cells, and it's part of why I like the interfaith. When those who represent a spiritual tradition embody the essence of their tradition, just the way they walk, sit, and smile speaks volumes about the tradition. The most basic principle of interfaith dialogue is that the dialogue must begin, first of all, within oneself. Our capacity to make peace with another person and with the world depends very much on our capacity to make peace with ourselves. If we are at war with our parents, our family, our society, or our church, there is probably a war going on inside us also. So the most basic work for peace is to return to ourselves and create harmony among the elements within us, our feelings, our perceptions, and our mental states. That is why the practice of meditation, looking deeply, is so important. We must recognize and accept the conflicting elements that are within us and their underlying causes. It takes time. I'd say continuous practice time. But the effort always bears fruit. When we have peace within, real dialogue with others is possible. Interbeing. When we see the nature of interbeing, barriers between ourselves and others, and inner and outer, are dissolved, and peace, love, and understanding are possible. Whenever there is understanding, compassion is born. Present moment. Touching deeply is an important practice. We touch with our hands, our eyes, our ears, and also with our mindfulness. The first practice I learned as a novice monk was to breathe in and out consciously, to touch each breath with my mindfulness, identifying the in-breath as in-breath and the out-breath is out-breath. And then he shares the practice that we just did. When you enter deeply into this moment, you see the nature of reality, and this insight liberates you from suffering and confusion. Peace is already there to some extent. The problem is whether we know how to touch it. Conscious breathing is the most basic Buddhist practice for touching peace. I was thinking the other day, it seems so obvious in some ways, and in some ways, it's such a profound and simple practice that anybody can do, and you don't have to wrap it up. I mean, now it's sort of entered more our cultural conversation and mindfulness, but whatever, just to be able to touch your breath, to know that when you touch your breath, it helps everybody touch their breath, which is the one breath, which is just to be here. It's like it's not complicated. It's just come back to breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Be in the present moment. To be aware that we are here and now, that the only moment to be alive is the present moment, to be truly here now, and to enjoy the present moment is our most important task. Last time I talked to Howard, we sort of knew he was coming to the end, but I thought there was more time. And we talked about it, but I don't think he thought he fell and ended up in the ICU. And I understand he's all hooked up with tubes and wires, and it's kind of unpleasant situation. But I have this feeling that he's just free in the, I mean, Howard was an old fox. That there's some part of him is free in the middle. I mean, we're always free in the middle of all of it. I'm just so curious to go down and meet the Howard that's all bound up with all the machines and the beeps and the interventions. And the Howard who just he knew how to smile in the center of it. I just know he's there. I'm so excited actually to go down and just meet him there in the midst of profound unpleasant. I am there for you. The most precious gift we can offer others is our presence. When our mindfulness embraces those we love, they will bloom like flowers. If you love someone but rarely make yourself available to him or her, that is not true love. When your beloved is suffering, you need to recognize their suffering and worries and anxiety. And just by doing that, you already offer some relief. Mindfulness relieves suffering because it is filled with understanding and compassion. When you are really there, showing your loving kindness and understanding, the energy of the Holy Spirit is in you. Maybe Muslims would say Allah. I don't know if that's the word they would, but it's breath. It's all breath. Enjoy being alive. Don't miss it. Howard thought he had more. He knew he was dying. I mean, we all know we're dying, right? I mean, sort of. It seems like there's evidence in that direction, but he was far enough along, but then he fell. He didn't know, just like that, you know. Bad fall, brain, whatever. To breathe and know you are alive is wonderful. Because you are alive, everything is possible. The Sangha, the community of practice, can continue. The church can continue. Please don't waste a single moment. Every moment is an opportunity to breathe life into the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Every moment is an opportunity to manifest the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. There is a person whose appearance on earth is for the well-being and happiness of all. Who is that person? This is the question from the Nugatara Nikaya Sutta. For Buddhists, that person is a Buddha. For Christians, that person is Jesus Christ. Through your daily life, you can help that person continue. You only need to walk in mindfulness, making peaceful, happy steps on our planet. Breathe deeply and enjoy your breathing. Be aware that the sky is blue and the bird songs are beautiful. Enjoy being alive, and you will help the living Christ and the living Buddha continue for a long, long time. If you read the Bible but don't practice, it will not help much. In Buddhism, practicing the teaching of the Buddha is the highest form of prayer. The Buddha said, if someone is standing on one shore and wants to go to the other shore, he has to use either a boat or swim across. He cannot just pray. Oh, other shore, please come over here and help me step across. To the Buddha, praying without practicing is not real prayer. Forgiveness. Been thinking a lot about forgiveness recently. Continuous ongoing practice. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Did any of you say that? Yeah. Everyone makes mistakes. If we are mindful, we see that some of our actions in the past have caused others to suffer, and some actions of others have made us to suffer. We want to be forgiving. We want to begin anew. You, my brother or sister, have wronged me in the past. I now understand that it was because of you. I now understand it was because you were suffering and did not see clearly. I no longer feel anger towards you. You cannot force yourself to forgive. Only when you understand what has happened can you have compassion for the other person and forgive him or her. That kind of forgiveness is the fruit of awareness. When you are mindful, you can see the many causes that led the other person to make you suffer. And when you see this, forgiveness and release naturally arise. Putting the teachings of Jesus and the Buddha into practice is always helpful. So Howard was in the military. I think he was very well trained as a neurologist. No, maybe he went back later because when he was in the military, he saw people in pain. He saw people suffering, and he wanted to do something about it, which is why he was so enthusiastic about the Veterans Path work. And I've been really feeling, maybe I've said this, but I'll just say it again because it's ongoing. I feel so grateful that I got to do the work with the veterans, to be with people in uniform that look scary and put on a certain uniform of a way of interacting in the world. Because in the Sanctuary Coalition, the bad guys are the sheriffs. I mean, and there really is, I mean, and it's not like things can't change, and it's not like things don't need to change. But I can feel, because people are afraid. People are afraid. Immigrants are afraid when they see somebody in a uniform, and understandably so. I feel like I have this kind of, I mean, it's not even, I kind of can't help myself, is when I see them, I just want to go over and love them too. So when I was at the meeting, and the sheriff was there, as I went over and asked him if I could hug him. And part of me thinks, everybody must think I'm crazy, because, but I just can't, I don't know how to play that game anymore, even as I completely know that what the sheriff is doing is not okay, and we need to do everything we can. We were having a circle outside before we went into the Board of Supervisors, and everybody's gathered around, and the two sheriff deputies are standing outside, and they were the two of the deputies, at least one of them was one of the deputies who arrested the people who very peacefully stood up in the last Board of Supervisors because they felt like they needed to, because the supervisors weren't listening. But I looked over at the sheriffs, and I couldn't just leave them outside the circle. It's like I went over and I shook their hands, and they burst into big smiles. And then one of them came towards the circle, but the minute he came towards the circle, one of the women in the circle, who, I mean, she has really strong feelings, and she's right in a sense, started laying into him, and it was like, wow. So it's like, this is complicated. But how do we do this? That's why I love that and Debbie and Ellen are really involved, is we're bringing memorial plaques of people who have died in detention, with names and faces, and people just come and cry and get it on a whole other level. This isn't about right or wrong. This is about being good human beings, and how do we take care of each other. Cultivating compassion. And then Thich Nhat Hanh goes through all the precepts, which I'm not going to do right now. And then he talks about taking refuge. the importance of taking refuge. I read this morning that the city of Oakland wants to become a city of refuge. They want to go beyond sanctuary and create, they want to call themselves a city of refuge. It's like, how cool is that?
Yes.
We all need something good, beautiful, and true to believe in. Mindfulness is the light that shows us the way, gives rise to insight, awakening, and love. Breathing in, breathing out. Buddha is my mindfulness, shining near, shining far. Dharma is my conscious breathing, calming my body and mind. I am free. Breathing in, breathing out. Taking refuge in myself, going back to myself. I am free. Our faith must be alive. It cannot just be a set of rigid beliefs and notions. Our faith must evolve every day and bring us joy, peace, freedom, and love. Faith implies practice, living our daily life in mindfulness or presencing. Some people think that prayer or meditation involves only our minds or our hearts, but we also have to pray with our bodies, with our actions in the world. Our actions must be modeled after those of the living Buddha or the living Christ. If we live as they did, we will have deep understanding and pure actions, and we will do our share to help create a more peaceful world for our children and all the children of God. Concrete prayer, the beginner's mind. The mind of love or the mind of bodhicitta is absolutely essential for the Buddhist practitioner. This is the last part, the ground of existence. In Buddhism, our effort is to practice mindfulness, presencing in each moment, to know what is going on within and all around us. When the Buddha was asked, "Sir, what do you and your monks practice?" And he replied, "We sit, we walk, we eat." The questioner continued, "But sir, everyone sits, walks, and eats." And the Buddha told him, "When we sit, we know we are sitting. When we walk, we know we are walking. And when we eat, we know we are eating. Most of the time, we are lost in the past or carried away by future projections or concerns. When we are mindful, touching deeply the present moment, we can see and listen deeply, and the fruits are always understanding, acceptance, love, and the desire to relieve suffering and to bring joy." Which is a nice place for me to end with Howard, because Howard just really wanted to relieve suffering and to bring joy. And I think we all do too. We just all do it differently. But it's like, what else are you going to do with your one and precious life? So there's lots of different ways we could jump off of this. Part of me is curious, we've all got our internal wars. It's not so comfortable being a human being. And we also know, we all have our bodhisattva vow, whatever you want to call it, is to relieve suffering and to bring joy, understanding, and compassion. Should we go into little groups or should we stay together? What should we do?
Been loving to stay together just because I get to hear the people online too, but I'm flexible.
Okay. So any of this,
Actually, I think that
you want to jump on, we'll do small